This is a demonstration using remote apps in a simulated classroom environment. So ahead of us, we see a conference table with a bunch of chairs. And think of this like a group assignment that's going on. You have a group of students working together, collaborating, and trying to solve an issue of some sort that's been addressed to them by a teacher. Now, traditionally in a classroom environment setting, you might have a podium computer in a designated location, which allows the professor to see everybody, and they can talk at them, but they can't necessarily talk to them or interact with them. So the first thing is remote apps. How does that help it? Well, over here what we can see is I've got a tablet here, an iOS device, an iPad, and you can see a screen up there. Now, what I'm going to show is that we have the ability to run PC applications on this device. And if you remember one of the other earlier presentations, I was able to show it on a Mac and a PC. So using Microsoft's Remote Desktop, which is available in the App Store for free, I've tied it into our resources here, and you can see these are a list of some of the applications that I published out. Now, let's say, for example, the group assignment is working on something statistical related. Now, the professor would have the ability to run, let's say, MATLAB here, and it's running within a window, and it allows them to walk around untethered. So that's pretty impressive because it allows them to be completely flexible. So if you can see, I'm walking around here, so rather than being in that podium computer and the corner back there, I can actually engage with the student here. And I could either show the student what's ahead of them, in front of them, maybe help guide them through a lesson, or I could even show them. Keep in mind that a lot of the projectors have either air media or they have coalesce, which allows them to present. So that way the professor here is completely untethered, walking around, able to engage the class, able to be dynamic and be a little bit more interesting rather than just being a static area back over here, which loses the attention of a lot of the people. So what this remote app does is it allows them to run these applications, the same applications, keep in mind, on the regular computers on any device. In this case, I have a tablet, but I've also run it on an iOS device like an iPhone. I've run it on an OS X PC in my office, and I've also run it on a standard Windows computer. Now, that's interesting, but what is remote apps? So you might say, oh, that looks like a terminal server, or that looks like I'm connected up somewhere. But it's not. It's running the application on a server in a data center, but in this case, it's presenting out a symbolic link. And that symbolic link actually presents things into a window. If you remember the earlier demonstration with the OS X device, you'll remember seeing that it was just a window within a window. So I had Safari, and then I also had MATLAB. Now, that's neat because it allows you to run things like you normally would. So if I'm running AutoCAD here and I'm in an architecture class, and you can see it fires up pretty fast, it still allows you to use your other applications here. So it's just running as almost a native application, and I can go back to it if I want. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty powerful. So think about a lot of the foreign students that we have. I think when I looked at the statistics from the incoming freshman class, it said that 57% of the incoming body were either international or out-of-state students. That's a big thing, because the reason we even have classrooms is so that we can present the software to them, software that they wouldn't normally be able to purchase or use on their own. And using something like this, it allows you to represent these applications to them. Keep in mind, this is not a VDI, this is not remote desktop. This is simply software running on a server that they're running. And it allows OIT to track that software. It allows OIT to manage that software. And it allows OIT to give the users a consistent experience. That software that's installed is running the exact same, whether it's a iOS iPad or a PC or an OS X box. So sometimes we get requests that come in for Office. And there's an issue that needs to be addressed where they're using a Mac and they want to use the PC version of Office for a specific plugin or add-in for Excel for some statistical analysis that does not exist and has not been compiled for OS X. Well, in this case, That's pretty simple. We could simply publish it out no differently than you would, say, Firefox. Firefox also has a lot of extensions and add-ins available to it, and you could do the exact same thing. And that way, you could use your Mac or whatever device you want the way you normally would, and you could simultaneously run that specific version of PC software side by side with it without having to log in or do anything particular or interesting. You would just go about and use your computer as you normally would. And in the end, having something flexible like this, it gives tools that allows OIT to improve the experience for not just students, but also for faculty and for staff. A consistent experience, if you will. So that way the same application is the same everywhere. It doesn't matter where it's being presented, it doesn't matter where it's at. And a lot of people that are international are using the exact same applications and getting the exact same experience, which can be managed by instructional technologists or even possibly a support specialist. So in the end, this is an early demonstration to show you what you can use and what you can do today. And so until next time, to be continued.